Okay, as we can't get out and about to do our field work, we're going to do some online field work instead. So, part of the field work you have to do, one is going to be about coasts, the other one is going to be about an urban area. So, we were going to look at Chichester, but we can't get out and about. So, we're going to look at Ipswich as an example. So we're going to work through this pre-live session piece of work, and then on Wednesday there'll be a live session that we can go through, and that's being provided by the Field Studies Council to take us through the process of fieldwork. So the first thing, we're going to be looking at the quality of life and how it varies across urban areas. So we're going to look at, first of all, what is quality of life? So there is a very wordy definition here. But basically, quality of life is about how happy and content people are and what makes their life good. So what I need you to do is to be writing different things into these circles on this Venn diagram to think about things that would make your life better. So this isn't necessarily about the things you earn and the things you have, but they can be part of it. So we can see here we've got social, environmental, economic. So social is people and themselves and how they feel. Environment can be the environment in which they live, so their house or the surroundings. And income, economic, of course, is to do with money. So I want you to think about different factors that would change your quality of life. Now, some things can obviously go into more than one place. So I want us to think about this central place here. So if we think about health, for example, health will be affected about, that is you, health is very important, it's part of you. Obviously, the area you live will affect your health, whether it be air pollution or whether it be the quality of the house in which you live. Obviously, income can have an effect on health because your access to healthcare and the things you can afford. So I want you to think of other factors that would change your quality of life, would change what you would make you happier or more content with where you are. Okay, so we're going to look now at these definitions. So I wouldn't want you to complete this definition sheet, but we're going to use this triangle here because this triangle is all about how you do good investigation work. So the first thing, you need to make sure that your work is correct. You want to make sure your results are actually what they should be and they're not just complete rubbish. You need to, again, and you'll see how this links in up here. We want to make sure that our results are precise, so they're not sort of very vague. And, sometimes you'll see statistics that can have a big sort of variance in them. We want to make sure our figures are correct and actually with a small variance on it. Reliable. How confident are we these results are actually correct? Are your results representative? How many people are you asking? Is it true what you've said that you found out? Are they valid? Do they have any strange anomalies to them? If you repeated it again, would it be fine? So have a think and complete through that section. So we're going to look now at our area of Ipswich. Now, we're going to look at this place and we're going to start off by looking at what's called the Burgess Model. So there is a link through on your document. I'm just going to link through on that now. And here we go. So if you don't know, Ipswich is located in the east of England. It's in Suffolk. It's about 66 miles northwest of London. Now, predominantly, Ipswich was a port. So it was generally a place of fishing port, but particularly for transport of products into and out of the UK. Comes to the 1980s, however, a huge new port was built in Felixstowe, which pretty much led to the closure of these docks. And then the building of a bridge that cut Ipswich off was the final nail in the coffin. So the 80s and 90s were quite difficult times for Ipswich. Coming to the present day, though, it's been quite regenerated. It has some very pleasant places to live. A lot of money's been spent regenerating it. So we're going to have a look at this thing called the Burgess Model. Now, the Burgess Model is all about what you would expect to find in different areas of a city. So, for example, the CBD, the centre, shops and offices, And again, this tends to work for most towns and cities that you would study to a degree. So shops and offices are found in the centre. And then factories, whether they're still active or maybe they've closed down and been turned into something else. So, for example, in Chichester, the old factory in East Street, the Shippers factory, is now New Look and H&M. And this area here is also sometimes called the inner city. These tend to be smaller terraced houses, tending to be the poorest parts of a city. We then come out into what we really call the suburbs. These are bigger houses, detached, semi-detached, gardens, driveways, those sort of things. And the commuter zone, or sometimes called the rural urban fringe, out in the outskirts of the town, where people travel into the centre for work. So if we actually start to have a look, we can see these different areas within Ipswich. So if we look at our map, this area here is probably going to be the CBD right in the centre here. We've got the inner city is going to be more this area, the suburbs around here, and then there's our commuter, our rural urban fringe right on the outskirts. So we're going to investigate a couple of these areas. Now, again, on your sheet, it talks about something that we're going to study called the index of multiple deprivation. This is where the entire UK is divided into over 32,000 different small areas, and then they're all put into rank order from the most deprived to the least deprived places in the UK. And when they're looking at deprivation, we consider how much money you earn, your income, the type of work you have, your level of education, how healthy you are, the amount and type of crime, whether you can access services, so whether they be doctors and schools and all those sort of things, and your living environment, what is your home like and what are your surrounding areas like. Now, looking at this map, generally the darker the colour, the poorer it is for the index of multiple deprivation, the more deprived it is. So, if we come down, we're going to look at a couple of these areas. So we're going to start off with this area over here that's called Stoke. So I'm just going to, there we go. So Stoke, this is our inner city area. It's old terraced housing, narrow streets, no gardens, very small local shops. In fact, we can have a look at this on Street View. So here you can see smaller streets, smaller housing, terraced housing near to the city centre that we can see it over there. So that is Stoke. The other place we're going to look at is Pinewood. So Pinewood's out here on the edge. It's a suburb. It's where people travel into the city. Larger houses, detached, semi-detached. A lot of people own cars because they need to travel to get to things that they need. Let's have a look at this area. So this area we can see, again, detached, semi-detached, gardens, garages, driveways. So this is a wealthier area, but everyone is expected to travel to get to the services they need. But you can see how this area, again, is also more modern as well. So let's start to have a look at how these two areas vary when it comes to crime, because crime is also a factor in the index of multiple deprivation. So we can see here, if we're coming over here to look at Stoke, that actually it has, just move me out of the way, quite a high level of crime when it comes to the, you can see the number of circles and the size of the circles in this area. So this area has got a high level of crime. We've come over to Pinewood here, and they have less crime in this area. It is less, but also they have less crime, and the type of crimes are very different as well. So this area tends to be poorer with higher levels of crime. This area is wealthier with less levels of crime. And we can then also, you can have a click through on this map and you can look at the areas and what they are like. So you can see the whole area divided up. But again, when it comes to occupation and qualifications, you will see that Pinewood is wealthier, more economically active, they are healthier. So you can see we can go through each of these things. And so there does seem to be a difference, the amount of money and qualifications that you have and how it affects how you live. So do have a look through on this map, but we're going to be looking, and this is what our field work is going to be studying, how does the quality of life, what is it like to live in the inner city compared to the rural urban fringe, the suburbs over here? And we'll be doing that on our online study next time.